where we attempt to talk very earnestly about classic video games, games that we have yet to play ourselves usually.
Keyword being attempt.
Exactly. I am Craig, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues, Kyle.
It is a thrill to be here, Craig. Thank you for having me.
Erik.
I wouldn't say esteemed colleague, but I'll take colleague.
And Johan bringing up the rear.
I am the one true Johan.
The esteemed ham.
Excellent. Yes. We've all managed to introduce ourselves.
Minimal fumbles there. We're off to a glowing start.
Okay.
What are we playing today, Craig?
Well, if you listen to the first episode, which, you go do that now if you've not done that before. We mentioned...
Or don't if you don't care about Super Galaxy.
Link in the description down below.
We did leave a little teaser saying we were going to talk about Banjo-Kazooie this time, so...
Is that a teaser? If we're doing this, that's not really a teaser, that's just you spoiling what's happening next.
We could have changed our minds, but we stuck to it.
It wasn't like, what's next? Johan? That would be a teaser.
Well, we'll have to remember that for next time.
It's like a post-credit scene.
So what's your guys' experience with this before playing it for the podcast, this game?
I think most of us have an awareness of Banjo-Kazooie in regards to what it is, who they are, kind of what the basic premise is, but in terms of actual hands-on experience, I've emulated little bits of it back in the kind of the dark N64 emulation days of like 2010, 11, when it would function, but it would run at like 15 FPS if you're lucky, and it would be missing textures, and the controls just didn't work very well. So, not had any real experience apart from me trying to kind of butcher it by doing it legally. So, yeah. Bits and bobs.
Never.
It's real hard to play N64 games on a keyboard and mouse, turns out.
And who knew, right?
It was as hard as the N64 controller.
But before this, I've never played it.
It's hard to play full stop.
I've never played a Banjo game before this.
No?
Yeah, the same. I may have touched upon it, maybe a little. Maybe at a friend's house they had a game, but I never really watched or played for any of them.
But you own the game, don't you? Yeah, the physical cartridge.
Yeah, I got it at the retro gaming convention like a few years ago.
And this didn't play it?
I buy a lot of games that I never play.
Yeah.
I guess that's why we're here, though, isn't it? We're here to get into the bottom shelf, and I guess this is the exact definition of why we're doing this.
We all have a crippling backlog. It's true.
When are we?
Craig?
When are we starting on the Steam account?
Oh, good lord! How long do you have?
Basically, I've played similar games to it, mostly on the PlayStation, because that's what I had. But Banjo's not at all. I've only ever heard of it in the third person, other people talking about it. That hence why we're playing it now.
Yeah, I've watched Let's Plays of it, but never actually been the one playing. So yeah, we're going into this game relatively blind in the sense that none of us have actually held a proper controller that it's meant to be played on and jumped into it and played it as intended.
Well, besides Erik.
Well, he owns it.
Very briefly.
We should probably elaborate on that first and foremost, shouldn't we, about who's playing it on what?
Erik has it on the original hardware, because he has the N64. We've all had to make do with the Nintendo Switch's N64 emulation library thing.
Strong word there.
Expansion pack plus...
Where Nintendo gives you permission to play like 8 of their games.
Wait, hold on.
It's called game. So the N64 Online, is that the official name for their online portal?
I'm not something like that.
The Nintendo Switch Online N64 expansion pack.
Oh, that rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Wow.
Erik, question. Did you need any expansion thingies for the N64 version?
I don't know if it actually requires that, because this game was released before the expansion pack. I think the only game that requires the expansion pack is Perfect Dark.
Donkey Kong, then.
And Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
both their games, incidentally.
The game wouldn't work without it, so they just put it as part of the package to not bypass that issue because they couldn't find a fix in time.
It'd be weird that they designed the N64 for that to be replaceable anyway, though. Like from the get-go. It's like they had that planned.
So you either have the expansion or the Rumble, but you can't do both. Sorry.
So we all basically, besides Erik, we all played it with Well,
so
I played it with a horrible...
Erik played that as intended. We've had to kind of bodge it through with some Frankenstein's monster emulation systems.
Well, we all settled on playing it on the Switch on the basis of our arguments regarding the way the controls are mapped would be more legitimate, and the basis of that's now Nintendo forces you to use it rather than being able to, make your own configuration.
Because you can get it on the Rear Replay collection, where I'm pretty sure they have modernised the controls so they're rebound to like modern things. I'm pretty sure they used the Xbox 360 version as a basis for the Rare Replay version. And that version was like, it ran at a better frame rate, and I think it might have had widescreen support. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I think it did.
I'm pretty sure they added stuff like that, yes.
So after I played the game, I did look up some gameplay of the Xbox version just to see the differences, and mostly the same. Just it looks slightly higher res, it's widescreen, and the controls are a bit different.
Feels like cheating that, though. I don't quite like that. I feel like if you're getting a modernised version of the... although I played Mario Galaxy in the exact same way, so I'm just kind of hypocrite myself. But yeah, we've played it, as intended, whether it be on the hardware it's built on or emulating the hardware it's built on. But there's no been no upscaled kind of recontrolled versions being used. So all of our impressions are on the as it was, essentially.
Okay then, what category do you guys want to talk about first, specifically?
How bad it is. No.
Okay, controls it is.
I'm going to the guts immediately. Yeah, I think the controls are probably the most important part for a 3D platformer, so that seems like a fairly logical place to start, I would imagine.
That's going to be where the basis of our criticisms are going to be. So I think we should get that out of the way first.
I played with a Pro
It's
controller.
also got the most variance between it's going to be a big between the Switch and the OG hardware. It's going to be a big variance in what it was designed to work with. So that will kind of shape how me, Craig, and Johan's opinions will be different from Erik's in different ways, because you've got a better controller that is actually built to be done on with the hardware itself.
Yeah, because say what you will about Rare and the way they make games, but they make sure to use the most out of the equipment they got. And they looked at the N64 controller, which is a very atypical controller in a lot of ways, and thought, okay, how do we use this weird tri-pong thing?
Can I just say atypical? Very nice way of putting it. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So they looked at the C buttons, for instance. So okay, we have a bunch of buttons here. We can use this to maybe add some more moves and act and such. Not really considering that when you take those C buttons away in modern controllers, you have a hard time actually doing those moves.
The benefit of hindsight and all that.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to really remap buttons on a N64 to a modern control, because it's just not got the same layout. You can't really make it work organically.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a problem. And also the problem with this 3D platformers in general at that point in time. They were still trying to figure out how the 3D controls work. So factoring that in along with the controller variations for the emulation, it made certain parts challenging, to put it nicely.
How did you play it, Craig? Did you play it in docked with the... Or how did you play it?
Oh, no, it was docked. I had the... well, not a Pro controller, but just a third-party, just standard controller.
What's that then? Like the Pro controller?
Not the N64 controller that you can get with it.
It's just one of the third-party licensed ones. I didn't want to spend the money on an actual Pro controller.
But how was the mapping? Was it similar to like a 360 Pro controller?
Yeah. It's basically the same layout.
Okay.
I was doing it handheld.
I don't get how you could do that with the Joy-Cons connected.
You can get a dog and play it with your hands. It's what it's built for.
Yes, but play.
I did play it a little bit undocked just to see how it was. And
talking about the controllers,
okay,
I would have twisted the entire Switch screen if I had to play it with the Joy-Cons on. I would have destroyed it.
Is it that bad?
I hated it.
What was the main issue?
The problem was the flicking of the camera when everything is mapped to everything. Or like the sense.
The N64's got like the little angular bits on the analog stick, so it kind of locks into certain angles, doesn't it?
But with the
whereas it's more free range on the Switch, so there's not really a way of locking it into right or up or left or down. So any sort of variation that will go left instead of up, and it will do another move, and that will cause problems.
The move where you're supposed to press upwards on the flick with the right analog stick to shoot the egg, then suddenly the camera twists, and then the shot goes all to hell. And then I get a brain aneurysm.
I'll be honest, I didn't struggle that much with...
I was sweating.
I didn't struggle with the camera moving while doing the moves. I was more struggling just to remember the bindings full stop.
The game throws a lot of moves at you, and there's a lot of button combinations to remember. Like, I forgot the invisibility feather combination thing for about half the game.
They give you a lot to use in the game, and sometimes it feels too much.
It's like a fighting game. You need to remember your combinations.
I don't think I ever used the egg going backwards thing at any point in the game, for no reason. I just didn't find any use for it.
I used it for some stuff.
Maybe the crocodile thing?
Maybe, but what's very important?
The crocodile thing, maybe?
The bucket? No, not bucket.
Unless it made you do it. There's actually a thing dedicated to use your arse eggs to shoot through here, but there's never like a way to do it organically that felt like the right thing to do in a certain situation, unless the game literally made you do it that way.
It says it looked funny. He fart egg. Ha ha. Hoo hoo.
There should be, I've got to this point, I can use the arse eggs here to really get ahead of this.
It's a technical term.
It never felt... There was never an organic way of making it feel like that was the best
Erik,
move to use going forward.
Erik, can you find the manual? Does it say arse egg as the attack?
It should be called the arse egg. If it's not, then well, it should be. I'm going to get Rare on the phone.
A lot of the problem solving to get the objectives involve basically just trying every move in your arsenal before you actually find the right one. At least from where I was playing it. It never seemed that it was never that intuitive what to do for certain parts, so you just felt like you were just like throwing mud at a wall until something stuck.
Yeah, and throwing that in with the camera and the general kind of control jankiness.
Camera.
I mean, a lot of that's down to age, so I'm not going to harp on it too badly because I don't think there are many 3D platformers of that time that were that have pass marks for general controls and kind of cameras and stuff. So
how's the camera?
It gets a little bit of leeway in that sense.
Well, Craig, you're the Spyro master. How's the camera in Spyro?
Well, I was going to say for context, this was released in 1998, so there would have been at least 2 years of Super Mario 64, which most people agree is sort of the basis where most 3D platformers went on.
Spyro 1 came out 3 months after Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, okay then. So,
October that year, Crash Bandicoot 3 came out.
I find Spyro a lot easier to replay, but I don't know how much that is just nostalgia. But I've never had that much trouble with either getting stuck or not being able to see where I'm going. It's actually pretty robust in the camera department.
A lot of the praise that I see for Banjo-Kazooie tends to come from folks who played it when they were younger, and I think that there's a little bit of... I don't want to say it's biased because that's a bit unfair, but I don't know if you can go into it blind now and get the same out of it as you would have done 20 years ago when it first came out. So there's a little bit of an issue with that, but there are other games that came out around the same time that I do think did a slightly better job of it.
You're talking about the gameplay controls, or no?
Controller and camera stuff in general. Gex 2 came out the same year as Banjo-Kazooie. Just throwing that out there.
The tentpole of the 3D platformer, Gex 2.
Well, Mario 64 came out in 1996, so 2 years prior to Banjo-Kazooie, and I think that game did it a bit better, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I do feel like Super Mario 64 does a lot of things better than Banjo-Kazooie with regards to controls.
I think it tries doing less. I think
the camera in 64, I think, is just as awkward to use. I don't think that's not really an improvement.
Yeah, but I think that they built levels with that in mind, though. There's a lot more open spaces and there's a lot less precision platforming involved that would make that be a problem. Whereas I think Banjo's got good level designs, but I think that it's let down by the camera and the control not really being quite that ahead of time to make that level work as well as it could do.
And I do feel like Mario controls a bit better than compared to Banjo in the regards of how precise the movements are.
I feel
like you can't aim or walk slowly as well with Banjo. It's either a little bit or it just moves forward and you turn in like 90 degrees.
I was thinking that why is there not a slow walk thing?
There is. It's just it's really awkward to use.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, can't Mario in 64? Can't he Can't he ledge climb in 64, can't you, as well, can't you?
No, I'm talking about Banjo.
Climb up.
Banjo can't.
I know, I'm not saying comparable-wise, though. But I'm saying, whereas Mario could do that, Banjo cannot do that, is that?
Yeah.
So that's getting a bit of leniency in the controls in the older game, because it knows that it's not quite there yet, and I think Banjo lacks that sort of safety net. So, yeah, a lot of it is, once you get used to it, it's not the worst, but going into it to begin with, it can be a little bit rough.
I thought your mileage may vary depending on your experience with games of this era. I think the main thing we can say is it's a late 90s 3D platformer, so
I would definitely start playing Mario 64 first and then go into Banjo-Kazooie.
Adjust your expectations accordingly with what comes with that territory.
Yeah, you can't play a modern 3D platform and jump back into this thinking it's going to be a comparable experience. It's not. There's fun to be had, but it's something that you've got to temper the expectations with the fact that time hasn't been kind to a lot of these older 3D games.
Yes.
In some ways it's aged better than other games.
Like Bubsy 3D.
Yes.
That's very low benchmark.
That implies there was something to age full stop in the audio.
Well, Bubsy had
it was already released obsolete.
It was a 3D platformer tank controls. I mean, that's... It's certainly... they're trying to find a solution. I don't think they quite hit it, but they tried something new, so I'll give them credit for that at least.
So imagine playing Resident Evil, but it was a platformer. Well, that's Bubsy 3D.
Not as true horror.
Okay, well, I think we've
ruined the controls enough.
Let's try and
find something nice.
Characters. Oh.
Okay, we'll go with
plot.
Characters / level design / design, just the overall look of the game.
Okay, give us the synopsis for Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh shit, yeah, maybe that as well.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Do you want to do that, Erik?
All plays in. Someone can relay the plot, that'd be great.
Let's do our best here. So, it's the most basic of plot, really. So, Banjo is a bear. He has a female ostrich friend. I'm not sure what sort of bird she is.
A very small ostrich.
It's a red bird. I'll check.
It's a red bird called Kazooie. Banjo has a little sister called Tootie. Or it's Tootie, right?
It's Tootie, yeah.
Yeah, who gets kidnapped by the evil witch Gruntilda, who wants to steal her youth and cuteness for herself. Because Gruntilda is a nasty old hag of a woman, which we are repeatedly subjected to throughout the game.
Constantly reminded by a nicer sister. It's a very
shallow game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the basic plot is you have to go and find your sister who has been kidnapped, and to do so you have to go through all these levels to get jiggies and notes in order to go further into Gruntilda's lair, which is you immediately go into Gruntilda's lair after the short tutorial area. So it's basically the entire place is the entire hub world is basically Gruntilda's place. So, yeah, it's not really, as far as plot goes, it's not really, it's not high.
It's not the last of us.
So if you change the characters in Mario 64 with the ones in Banjo, it's not that much different.
Well,
yeah,
they're both equally as thin on plot, to be honest.
A lot of things are alive in this game.
That too. Everything is live.
Yeah, there's a real plethora of characters to get your teeth into, apart from Banjo-Kazooie themselves.
That's what makes it interesting, in my opinion. There's loads of interesting characters.
I've forgotten most of their names, but I assume they've all got really funny names.
The leaky bucket is called Leaky.
Yeah. And there's Logo the toilet. Who can't forget?
Wasn't it Cloggo?
I remember Logo quite well.
Was it Logo or Cloggo?
No, it's Logo. I found Logo hilarious. I do remember that quite specifically.
Captain
the mole,
Blubber,
which gives you moves, but I forgot what he's
Balls,
called.
yeah. There's
There's
a good
henchman
the good
dude.
witch.
Oh, by the way, the good witch.
Clungo.
The good witch. I didn't get all like, why is she here? Why is it? And then when I came to the end part, it was like, I should have been listening to her. She's talking. Oh shit.
Oh, I think we'll mention that later on.
We'll talk that later.
I
have words about.
But I was like,
yes.
I want to hold your horses there for a second.
Okay, no, but anyway, I was walking around and was like, why is this character here? It makes no sense. And then,
If anything in the game has too many characters, that's the issue.
Filthy facts. Just tells you filthy facts about Gruntilda.
Oh, but by the way, the bird race is apparently called Breagull, which is not a real bird. In the world of Banjo-Kazooie, it's a Breagull.
In the Banjo lore.
You're getting this, the Banjo-Vikia.
Yes.
Is Banjo a real bear then as well?
Hold on. Let me consort with the internet.
Is anything real?
I think it's a honey bear.
What is real?
I'm an idiot. I just googled banjo, and of course, banjos showed up.
Do you mean banjo? Well, yeah, I mean banjo, but not banjo.
Honestly,
there's
these
a lot of
search
characters.
engines.
Of course, there's Mumbo Jumbo, which is.
Fanfare.
Oh yeah, I forget Mumbo Jumbo.
It certainly is a character that they could get away with in the late 90s.
Well, he's voiced by Grant
Not so
Kirkhope.
much these days.
He's not human, so
Yeah.
he's a.
Yeah, it's just a stereotype. It's okay.
If anything, the game has too many characters. It's hard to remember each one because there's so many thrown at you at once.
It's a surprisingly dense game.
They all talk with this like.
Is it just reversed? Like we talked about it.
It's not reversed. It's gibberish.
So the way they actually did it was that for each character, they just said like a normal sentence, and then they chopped up that sentence into a soundbite.
Somewhere there's like leaked audio of like actual words spoken by these characters. That's freaky.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
I don't want to see that.
You can't.
I mean,
what if
I've got witty dialogue and it's fine, but it's just there's so many characters getting thrown at you at once that it can be hard to remember who's who sometimes. And you get this inundated with new faces every 5-10 minutes, and it's like, oh, stop!
Yeah.
Well,
I can't remember all your names.
Well, that's what I liked with.
And half of them speak in rhyme.
That's what I. Oh yeah, right. Gruntilda, she rhymes.
Yeah, that's her bread and butter. Everything rhymes. It's really like more bad puns, and it's like, oh no.
I was gonna say that's what I actually liked about the enemies, that there was so many variations of the enemies. Instead of copy pasting the same,
the levels felt a lot more alive. Given there's so many of
they're all themed different.
There was no copying and pasting going on. You can tell.
They were surprisingly compact for what was actually in each level and what you can do. They put a lot in a small space.
By the way, he's a honey
Craig,
bear.
You played through Ukulele recently, and that's got quite big levels in comparison. So you can see what the benefit is having a more condensed level in that sense.
That's one of the aspects about that particular game. I'm not really gelling with it. I've not played much of Ukulele yet. I did play a little bit after finishing Banjo for a bit of a comparison. And
sometimes less is more, I think.
It almost feels like it's trying to do too much Ukulele.
Whereas, I think for a collectathon, you want everything to be in a place where you can find everything.
Banjo-Kazooie knows its limits.
Yeah, I think if everything gets too spread out and you can't find like the one thing missing out on, that can cause frustrations. Where I think levels are just big enough that it's like a little adventure, but it's not big enough that it becomes like intimidating.
When you need to, there's this one Jiggy or Mumbo token I need to get. It's even going from one end to a map to the other is not that much of a trek.
It's the Jinjos and trying to find all of those. Trying to find the 5 Jinjos in the map's easy when you've got a small map to work with, whereas Ukulele's got quite big maps, and trying to find those 5 ghosts comparable to the Jinjos and Banjo, it becomes an absolute headache because it's such a vast place to look through. There's not any sort of easy way of going from A to B and looking for the entire thing. So I think they're condensed, and they're not like not empty, the levels in Banjo. They're
quite the
densely
opposite.
Populated. Yeah. They're busy, which I think is quite good because it means that you aren't like you recognize. There's always a unique place that you haven't been to yet. You recognize certain points of the map where that is and where that is, so you don't get lost. I think that's the important thing.
That's a common mistake I think a lot of 3D platformers made when it was the new thing, is just because it was a new method to make a 3-dimensional space. I think they went too mad with it.
It's being big and being dense.
So we can have these big, huge worlds, but there's barely anything in them.
It happened to a lot of kind of later kind of like sandbox games that started coming out kind of after GTA came out. It's just a big map with nothing inside it.
I was thinking of Just Cause now.
Yeah.
Just Cause 2 is a big culprit of that. Also, the True Crime Streets of LA. That's the same problem as well. The whole of LA, but there's no actual like landmarks, just like a bunch of like grid streets with no personality. It's like, yeah, it's big, but there's nothing here. And it's like, I'd rather have a smaller map with more stuff in it. It's like, I remember the Vice City map back and forward. You know, it's all...
I heard that one of the good things about something like Yakuza is that it's a very condensed area, but it has so much in it, so it feels so much bigger.
Yeah, you want it to be big, but also have stuff to occupy the space it's giving you. And I think Banjo does a good job of giving you enough level, enough stuff to do in that level, so it doesn't feel kind of jarring.
Yeah, the actual way of collecting jiggies in Banjo-Kazooie is one of the things that the game does better than collecting stars in Super Mario 64, I feel. Because in Super Mario 64, and Super Mario Galaxy for that matter, you pick a star, you get that star, unless you get the 100 coin star, then you basically are kicked out of the level. While in Banjo-Kazooie, you can just find a jiggy, get it, and then continue on the level, find the next jiggy, and find the next jiggy. You could just continue in the level until you exhausted everything.
Although I will say that Mario 64 does signpost some of its stars better than Banjo-Kazooie does with its jiggies.
It does, yes.
Because some of them can be very hard to find if you aren't told where to look.
Since we all played Mario Galaxy before this in the first episode, I don't really remember the having to go back to play stars again that much of an issue. Although that said, I think if you had to do it in this game, I think it would have been...
Normally they vary the level with each star, so it's not the exact same level verbatim. I think
the levels in Banjo-Kazooie are designed on the basis of you're going to just you can get everything in one go if you want.
Yeah.
Well, unless you get a certain like power up for later on, you have to come back with.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Well, you have to go to the hub world again.
Actually, I think that only happens once in the whole game, so they're pretty lenient on it. I don't know why they decided to make it just for that specific
I don't like
area.
leaving levels half finished. I don't like leaving places without being complete. I don't like going back. I like having all my things done at once and then moving on to the next level and having that last level be put to bed. I like that. Having to go back again, it's just like, I've missed out that. I have to come back and then get this item and then come back here later on and remember what I'd forgotten from 5 levels ago. I don't like that. It bothers me.
That was a problem that was introduced into the later Spyro games after the first one. Where you had to have certain abilities that but you have to go to the next world before you can learn it. So then
you haven't got the speed shoes yet, or you haven't got the ground pound yet. You have to come back here in 5 levels time and get the one thing that you missed from your first sweep. And it's like, just give me it in the first place. I'm already here. I can see it. Just don't hide it from me.
I think as a general, we don't like retreading ground.
Well,
I don't mind doing it like repeatedly when I'm already there. I don't mind leaving and going back into it if I'm already in the environment.
You have to
do going back
when it's so clearly signposted in the game where you need something to get there, but you haven't got it yet.
You have to go from level 5 back to level 2 to get something that you couldn't get before. I find that quite tedious.
Well, isn't the Metroid games and like Castlevania, isn't that basically what all those games are like?
Well, but
those aren't separate levels though. It's all one big homogeneous thing.
That's not exactly the same. Although I think if you're not a big fan of backtracking, I think those games will test that.
Yeah,
it's not really backtracking as such. It's just fact you're in a level. You're trying to get all that you can in a level.
It's not backtrack. It's more just general exploring, I guess.
Yeah, it's just retreading like previous ground that you could have just done at that point in time, minus one minor inconvenience. So Banjo is quite good in the sense that it doesn't make you do that very often. It's quite nice letting you go into a level and you can get all of this at once, or get what you need and then leave and come back later on, or don't come back at all. It's entirely up to yourself, and it gives you a little bit of freedom there. I think that's quite good.
Have we got any favourites levels?
Levels. I've got a couple. I want to throw
the first one's pretty. The first one's pretty good.
Tutorial world.
Yeah.
There's no platforming there. That's why.
I won't call it my favourite boss, but it serves well as a.
There was minimal platforming involved. That's why it's good.
Did any of you do the mistake of saying like, no, I don't want the tutorial, and then you didn't know how to do things? Because I
know how these games work. It's
because
fine.
I know how to play game. I know I can play through tutorials.
Johan, real gamers learn through trial and experience.
Okay,
Aaron.
Or just pure frustration. I've got 2 levels that I'll give it a mentions to. I liked Mad Monster Mountain.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for haunted mansion levels in any game that I play. I like the Halloween vibes. They make me happy. So that one and Gobi's Valley, the desert level.
The Valley I liked. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd have picked Gobi's Valley. Mine, but
again, it's quite condensed and it's easy to find everything. So I quite like that one. So yeah, those are my 2.
I will give. I don't really have a favourite per se, but I will give an honourable mention to Click Clock Woods just on the ambition of it.
Theme.
Yeah,
the ambition.
Well, it's a very interesting level.
See, I'm glad that someone likes it.
I'm not sure it's the best use of that idea, but I did find it quite fun.
Well,
in parts.
If it was less,
maybe explain it.
I would like that idea on any level. That would have been like Mumbles Mountain with like the weather changing mechanics. That would have been great.
Yeah, the Click Clock Woods is basically 4 levels with slight differences based on the seasons, where you have to activate. Like you go into the spring part, then you find the switch to go into summer, then you can go back and go do the same level, but it's changed slightly, so there'll be.
The trees have leaves on them, or flowers are blooming, or there's ice over the water.
There'll be more wooden platforms to jump on because they're being built as time goes on. And some of the ways you have to get the jiggers involved, doing something in spring, and then going to summer where the level will be different because of it, and then you keep going like that to.
Yeah, I liked.
It's based around the giant tree, though, and that just involves scaling, which involves platforming, which involves controls, which goes back to what we were discussing earlier on.
But I was thinking...
I know your opinions on like verticality in platforms is well documented.
No, I don't mind it if you've got a way of getting back up quickly. Like I was saying before, Gex 3 has like a beanstalk level. You have to go with this giant, like, multi-level beanstalk, but it's got checkpoints. So if you fall, you can go back to where you came from. Whereas Banjo, you fall, and you die, you're back to where you started off on.
So at this point, I think I should mention death in Banjo-Kazooie. In the N64 version,
ooh, it's rough.
Is more rough than it is on the Xbox version.
The devices don't do it.
In terms of all the collectibles, if you die, you get to keep all of them except the notes, where it will save the score of how many you've collected, but you will have to collect them again.
What's the point of
really
that?
frustrating?
I have no idea why they thought that was the way to go. If you just like died, then okay, you've still got like 20 to go in this level, but they're still there for you, rather than now you have to get them all 100 from scratch yet again. Because
admittedly, it made, like, particularly in Click Clock Woods doing the platforming, even more stressful and nerve wracking. When you know the penalty for death is a lot more severe.
It's trying to recall which season you've missed your notes in. You have to go through all the seasons and go all to the top and try and find out where it is. They go, it's not in this tree, go back down, through the season door, back up again, look around, it's not here, and then repeat and repeat and repeat. And it drove me to the verge of insanity.
It was something they changed in the Xbox version where it actually remembers what you collected. And I think that change alone would have made the way I played that game a lot more different. I think I would have been a lot more haphazard in my platform if I knew death wasn't such a big penalty. It's the one level
that I almost didn't get all the notes on because I just didn't know if I could deal with the mental anxiety that was going to cause me. So I had to leave it and come back later on after a couple of days and try doing it again.
Can I guess?
What?
Is it the Bucket Bay?
No, it was Click Clock Wood.
Oh, it was Click. Oh, I thought it was. Because I did.
Well,
I had
Rusty
that
Bucket Bay has its
Rusty
own
Bucket
issues.
Bay, I've got.
Rusty Bucket Bay is maybe my least favorite.
I hate.
Both of my levels I've got here have got a common theme. I've got Clanker's Cavern and Rusty Bucket Bay. You can guess what the common theme is there.
Yeah. As soon as you add water to 3D platformer and introduce swimming controls.
No. Early.
We're going back to the camera/control discussions, but yeah, I think when you've got free reign with a swimming mechanic where you can go up, down, left, and right, it makes the flaws a lot more noticeable. So I was trying to go through Clanker's cavern and trying to unleash that dial thing to get the chain to go up. You have to go for the key thing like 3 times to get it to turn properly. Or trying to get oxygen through the bubbles at the same time.
The problem being that you can't get the bubbles because you don't know what level the bubble
depth?
is. Yeah, so it's like,
what plane is it on?
And then you're trying to move the camera, and the guy is like, "Oh no, I went to the oh no, I'm dead." Yep.
I hope you want to collect all those notes again.
But also watching your oxygen at the same time, which is also even worse. Rusty Bucket Bay having the oil water, which means that your oxygen goes down twice as quickly for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, so some of the timings that they expect you to make with like that. It's quite.
Being in the water is bad
tight.
enough as it is. You don't need to handicap me even more with even more implications. I want to get out of the water as it is. Don't make me even worse for me being in here. So yeah, that was painful. And the fact that there's a lot of platforming around the water, and if you go in there, you have to default yourself right back to the start, up the ladders, and go again from scratch. Don't do water levels in 3D platformers. Don't make them.
I was just
abolish them.
I'm going to mention, just to go slightly off topic, has any game ever done 3D underwater swimming good? Ever?
Spyro.
Not that I can.
Is this just something that just can't be done? It's just...
I quite like Crash Bandicoot 3's water level, but they're 2D, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
So
I just wonder how much of this can we blame on like Rare for not doing it right, or is it just no matter how well they did it, people would complain?
I think you got the mixing in the oxygen thing as well with the 3D controls.
Yeah.
I think the Spyro would be underwater.
Oh yeah, Spyro to onwards had underwater sections, but they didn't have a time penalty for it.
Dear God! I just.
And they felt quite nice though. I quite like the underwater levels of Spyro 2.
The water level in Metal Gear Solid 2. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, no. I'm getting flashbacks.
I managed to avoid drowning.
I can't think of any water levels that I legitimately enjoy. I think everything even like in 2D platforms, most water levels are sort of frowned upon as being, you're getting the old Sonic the Hedgehog thing going on. It's like, oh no, underwater levels, they're all bad. In any game that you play, don't do underwater levels. Mario 64, as much as that had decent platforming elements, the underwater sections were fucking shocking.
Yeah.
Trying to pick up coins underwater in that game, and you can't tell which plane of reality you're on. Oh my God! Painful.
Besides the water levels, anyone else you dislike?
Well, Clickcom we've already discussed.
Just in terms of the platforming, there was that one area in Rusty Bucket Bay that had insta-death fall pit in that where all the propellers.
Yes.
That was a little tricky.
Yeah.
I don't know if you counted Grunty's Furnace Fun, I would say as well. The second last level, I'd argue, was rough.
Do you want to just quickly mention like what the end of the game is like for?
Well, no, not the real battle, the second final battle. Okay, right. So at the end, when you get enough pieces to get into Grunty's Furnace Fun, it is a giant. How do you even describe it?
Board game show.
It's like a board game. Yeah. There's a maze of pieces in front of you. You only go one per time, and you have to answer a quiz question or take part in a trial of some description, whether it be like a time trial for a mission or some sort of like musical kind of guessing game.
Yeah.
And you have to try, and each time you get a question wrong, you take some damage, and you have to try and navigate through a lot of these to get to the end of the level. And it might be the worst time I've ever had playing a game in my entire life.
I didn't have that bad time with it, actually.
I managed to do it in like second try, but it was still tedious. And so
I didn't even die.
And there's also, you got the skull tiles where if you get an answer wrong, you'll just insta-die.
Yeah, I just avoided those.
Yeah,
and I saved up on all the Joker stuff so that I can use to skip over.
Oh, yeah, and the Jokers you can unlock, and that gives you a pass, basically, on one of the
what
pieces.
Was your strategy, then? Because the way I played it, because I was purposely avoiding the actual trial gameplay bits because I found them to be particularly brutal in what they expect you to do. So I thought I'll just try and go only the questions and just over.
It was doing the musical note game, but like with like a 30-second time limit with the turtles. You got to jump on their backs to get the right notes in the right order. But they played like 14 of them with like a 30-second window, and it's like
And my strategy was if I just keep getting these questions, eventually I'll remember what the answers are, and it won't be as much as an issue.
Yeah.
My solution was to Google the answers because I couldn't be arsed anymore.
Wait, you did that?
Yes.
You cheater.
Cheat!
I don't give a shit. It's a terrible system.
But back to the good witch who's like spread out throughout the game and giving you like info about Gruntilda, because that's used for this party.
She info dumps for a purpose.
Yeah, but I thought it was just
ramblings.
I thought it was random stuff like my sister has poopy pants. Yeah.
That's basically it.
What does Gruntilda have? Poopy pants. It's like, oh.
It's weird. She describes herself as being the nicer sister, but she spends the entire game talking shit about her other sister,
roasting her sister.
Just lagging on her sister.
So basically,
and she's ugly.
I stopped
she's
listening.
ugly on the outside, but you're ugly on the inside.
I stopped listening to her after like the first two times. I was like, but then I got to the end, like, oh.
Hope you've been paying
The thing
attention.
is, she's hidden in the hub world too. So it's like they obviously just have to try and find her and then get the answers, and they hope that it's the right answers that you need to get to the next part.
What was her name?
So that's not good.
Was it Glentilda the Good Witch, or?
Yeah, something like that.
Glentilda.
Speaking of hidden in the overworld, can we talk about the actual act of
I was gonna say
the levels?
The hub world. Let's discuss the hub world, shall we? It might be the worst hub world I've ever seen in my entire life.
I have no problem with it.
I mean, I like the idea. I like the idea of it being a challenge, but there's a limit to what you can do just to hinder the player to a level.
The hub world should be connecting A and B. I think Mario 64 had it right, and the level's got it's got personality. The hub world. It's got a few things that are hidden away, but it's not a challenge to navigate the hub world.
But you had to search for that. First, it's not even enough to search for the actual entrance to the level. You have to find the way to unlock the level as well, which is hidden in a completely different area.
You find a button in the map that will let you open up a place where you can put jiggies in. And then you find where that's kept, and then you have to go back to where you were to begin with to go into the actual level itself. So you've got to backtrack at least twice to get into each particular level. And that's just tedious.
Fun!
And there are you get the cauldron to do fast travelling, but they're hard to find, and I think I'm still missing one actually in my playthrough that I couldn't find at all. The one in the pipe, I think it was at the red cauldron. I haven't got a clue where that one goes.
I never used the cauldrons.
I
didn't care to find out.
I found all of them, and I used them.
Yeah,
and there's hidden cheat books in the map as well that you can find if you look hard enough. There's 4 different is it called Chio? I think it's called the book that flies around.
Cheeto,
the cheat codes.
Cheeto.
But yeah, it's not good. It actually, when I got to the end of the game, I think I spent about 20 minutes trying to find the Click Lockwood opening thing, because it's way back at the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's not easy to find unless you know what you're looking for. So I found that quite tedious. And then going from that into the last levels that I didn't like much either. Yeah, I really didn't like the back half of this game whatsoever.
Yeah.
At any point, did you feel like from playing it so much, you actually would vaguely remember where stuff was, or was it you always getting constantly lost?
Well, I knew where things were in relation to what it looked like. I just didn't know what the route was to get to that point from where I was to where I was previously.
It was only towards the end of the game where I actually felt like I finally had a grasp of the hub road. And before then, I just felt like
I'd be okay with it.
I just felt like I was just going in and out of rooms. Thought, okay, this is not the area. It must be somewhere else.
I'll take an overworld map. That'd be quite nice. You are here. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
That'd been fantastic.
Oh yeah, that'd be.
No, it would have been a really blurry PNG, and you're still like, what is this?
Yeah, but don't make it labyrinthian, though. It's not fair.
Labyrinth. David Bowie shows up.
Yes, so the hub world, compared to games that came before it and games that came, look at another Spyro example. That's got a hub world, and that one's very open, easy to navigate. You can go at levels, you can do level 4 first, and then come back to level 1. It's got a bit of free reign to do what you want there. Because you've got to do it in a particular order with Banjo-Kazooie, it's very brutal in that sense.
Yeah. I didn't have... A lot of things about this game I like in principle. It's just the execution's the issue.
Maybe, yeah, that's maybe.
It's a game I want to like, but it makes it difficult. is the way I describe it.
Yeah, because this is a game with, being truthful, this is a game with a lot of charm, and it's obvious that the people who made it had fun making it because they put so much of their own humor in the game and such. So
it's rough around the edges.
It's a very British game in a lot of ways.
Ah, horrible. Okay, cool.
That's the key way to determine, was this game made in the UK? Is it taking itself seriously? No, it was probably made here.
Is it janky then? Yes, made in the UK. Like the fact there's no iframes and stuff. Yeah, that's a very British thing.
That annoys me.
What, in day-to-day life?
No iframes here, Governor. But then, have any collectathons from back, from any point aged very well?
This
kind of genre of game, is it even a thing that's still like hold water with any of them?
So I think the Spyro games hold up pretty well, but that might just be me.
Have you played A Hat in Time?
I haven't yet.
I have it. But
that's a good game. That's a collectathon and a more of a it's kind of like a better version of Ukulele, essentially.
I think Ukulele is the only recent experience I have with anything like modern 3D platformer.
I think the concept's just sort of a bygone era now. I think none of the major workers they just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, because it's so hard to do.
I don't know. It's not the in thing. I mean, it hasn't been the in thing for a while, so game publishers, developers want to make money.
They just want to make the next Fortnite now.
3D platformers aren't really the money makers they used to be.
What about Super Mario Odyssey? You played that, didn't you, Carl?
We all did. We recorded an episode on it.
No, that was Galaxy.
Odyssey.
Odyssey. Oh, it's a Galaxy. Odyssey. Yeah, I like Odyssey. It takes a lot of liberties with the concept of collectathons, but I think it's there's enough ingenuity there to make it feel less tedious than some of the other ones that I've played. Like I played through Sunshine recently. Didn't enjoy that at all.
That can be a future.
Maybe a bit of a hot take there, but I didn't like it very much so far. But yeah, I think Odyssey is probably the only 3D platformer that I've played recently that I've quite enjoyed. Well, I'm playing the new Kirby game, and that's quite fun so far. I've not finished that off yet.
That's more linear, though, isn't it?
It's more linear, but then so is Odyssey, I guess, to an extent. And big levels, but you're going from A to B to C to D.
They're pretty open levels.
Oh yeah, but they are still levels, in the same way that Banjo has levels.
Yeah, I wouldn't call Banjo linear.
No.
Well, can you bypass levels at all in Banjo-Kazooie?
Because all you need to progress is basically the notes.
You get more jiggies, don't you?
Yeah, the jiggies
to unlock the levels,
and then they use the notes to unlock the doors.
Oh yeah, you need the notes to get the jiggies. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you kind of need to get basically every single note from every single level in order to get all the doors. So I guess you can't really skip anything.
We all did a completionist run, didn't we, of Banjo-Kazooie? We all tried to get 100% of what we could. Would you think
I did not end up getting everything.
Okay, so a question to Craig and Johan.
Yes, sir.
Do you think you would have enjoyed the game more if you hadn't tried going for the full 100% completionist run?
No, I want.
It would have been a lot. I feel like that's kind of missing the point when it's a collectathon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put in 10 hours into the game to get the full completion, and I felt like I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I put in maybe 6 and not got everything.
I mean, that's how I always play the Spyro games when I be playing. I always collect everything. I won't miss anything out.
But I think in Spyro, it's more lenient in the fact it tells you where certain hidden things are sometimes. Well, Spyro 2 onwards they did that, but I know the first game didn't do it very well. But Sparks will point to the gems that you've missed on the map and see kind of which direction it's in, so you would find it again.
From what I remember with the first game, it's actually pretty lenient on what you need to do to progress. You don't actually need to collect that much or do much to get to the last level.
Well, Banjo didn't require you to get every single note or jiggy to get to the final boss. We haven't discussed that yet, actually, the final boss.
I think there's 900 notes in the game, and I think you need 810.
Yeah, there's 9 levels, I think.
810, I believe, and then there's extra to unlock, refills.
I mean, that's
and
still
power-ups.
Quite a big proportion. You can't miss too many of them.
Yeah.
To meet the bare minimum.
Yeah, and then you get to do the final boss, which we've all got experience with.
Yeah.
There was an attempt on my end to do it, and I didn't.
You didn't do it, did you? I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
I decided I had enough.
I watched Craig do it on Discord, and I felt better knowing that he shared my frustrations with it.
I probably lost years of my life playing that one because of the camera Bullshit.
I think it comes down to the controls. I was trying to do the invincibility thing, but I was firing eggs forward instead because I've not got that sort of lock to the left or up ability that the D-pad on the N64 has got.
I think it wouldn't have been as much of an issue, that boss battle, if the controls is a little bit better. I think that's where most of the difficulty came from, rather than what was actually happening.
Homing attacks that you can't block, I've got a particular gripe with. That shouldn't be a thing. A homing attack that you can't avoid, that just seems a little bit unfair to me. I know it gives you the invincibility thing that you meant to use, but it's very quick reflexes to get that used, and then fire the eggs, and then avoid the area of attack effects being launched at you from above, and then launch a homing attack and do the same thing again.
It is the final boss. I don't mind it being difficult. I don't want that difficulty to be something where I feel like I couldn't do anything about it.
I don't mind difficult if I feel like it's fair.
And there's like a million stages to get through. It's so long.
Yeah, if you die, you go all the way back to the beginning. It does seem to spike up quite a bit in difficulty. Given there's not really not that many boss battles in the game, really, apart from maybe a handful of them. So to go from there not being many boss battles to going through a multi-phase disaster class like that, I just felt like it was a little bit of a step in the wrong direction. And I finished it, I didn't really feel relief, I felt more like anger.
Yeah, anger, yes.
I was like, this level has robbed minutes of my life that I will not get back.
And then you get to see a very lovely cutscene with all the characters.
Everyone
and random bikini lady.
Yes.
She had nice...
Jugs McGee.
She had nice melons.
Oh, she was carrying melons, wasn't she?
I'm glad you mentioned that and not just leave it silent.
You know,
should have just been quiet about it.
It's a kid's game.
Cut out the last bit.
She had nice cans.
Whoa.
Just leave it there.
Speaking of nice cans, the game over screen.
I didn't see it.
What?
What? You mean when every time you save and quit the game? Well, you
Yeah,
automatically lose.
I just didn't get him over.
Every time you quit the game, you lose.
That was a very interesting choice to have a game over screen where it's game over if you just stop playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't understand.
It's just to make you. It's supposed to make you feel. No, you just keep playing. Go on, just keep going. You don't want bad things to happen in the game over.
or maybe you do want bad things to happen. Just look at the result.
Yeah, so
that was weird.
How do we think the overall impressions then? Where do we stand on this?
7.5 out of 10.
I'm not giving it a number.
That's
Okay. One thumbs up.
I can give a thumbs up.
We've all got unique scoring systems. Like out of 5, out of 10, thumbs up. I'll give it stars. Why not?
like I said before, I wanted to like it, and I kind of do, but not as much as I want to.
Yeah, I'd give it 6 Econ Bokums.
Yes. I give it 5 Mumbo tokens. Enough to become an ant.
or termite.
Or a washing
pig,
machine. Or
a thick-ass bumblebee.
Thick-ass bumblebee.
I put the game...
Funny, I don't like underwater things, but I love flying games, but I don't like underwater levels in games. It's just the duality of man.
Yeah.
I think I have more control in the air than I do underwater, and there's no oxygen requirements. But I love flying in games where you aren't meant to.
It's freeing in a way.
Say Mario. It's like you get the flight cab. I love this, but the underwater levels are really bad, and it's like, well, it's the same mechanic, more or less.
So if we ever at some point decide to do an episode on like ukulele, for example, I think I'd be very interested to see if that fixes the problems I have with this game, or whether it would it not make much of a distance.
I've beaten it.
You think a lot of the issues are based on the fact that it's a late 90s 3D platform, and that's sort of how they are.
Ukulele, I'll say that it does solve some problems, but it creates brand new ones on its own. So
yeah, I watched you play through it like a year ago or something.
Yeah, it's
I was struck about how big a lot of the levels were.
Yeah, I think.
Which I feel like is a bit of a turn.
We mentioned before how Banjo-Kazooie's got levels that are they're small, but they're condensed for stuff that you actually need to use. There's not a lot of dead space in Banjo-Kazooie. You know, apart from the hub world, we got a lot of this bits there for the hell of it. But that's what hub worlds are meant to be sorry. Whereas Ukulele, there's a whole lot of map there, and there's not a whole lot of stuff going on with it.
What we need is something in between Banjo and Uke. There's the perfect game.
DK64. which I've not played to be fair, but I've heard it's very similar. Well, it's rare, isn't it? It's on the same console, so I'm guessing it's going to be cut from the same cloth.
I don't know if I've played it.
I don't know the DK rap. That's all I know.
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. That's an in-between game.
That's the only logical game we haven't done yet. But that game looks quite fun, to be fair. I know it's not the same as the...
there's Nuts and Bolts Adventures out there.
I think it got flack for not being Banjo 3. That was the issue.
That's the problem.
I've never played it, so I can't say either way.
You know, we discussed a game called Banjo-Kazooie, named after instrument. We haven't really talked about the music. I just now realized.
It's good.
Farting music.
It's by far and away the best part of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, and it does.
I think even the sound design in general, along with the soundtrack, it's they go underwater and then the music feels like a slow version of the same song.
It's the dynamic music. I love that in video games when they do that. It's changing like seamlessly between taking out instruments and such when appropriate and such. It's very nice.
It's the one thing that I would say is aged the best about Banjo-Kazooie is definitely the music and overall sound design. So,
and I would also say...
The man's a genius.
I would also say, just the graphic design in Derp, maybe it's outdated, but the actual character designs is pretty alright, for the most part.
They made those polygons work.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really argue with that, to be honest. I mean, a lot of the environments look kind of washed out because that's just the colour palettes they had to work with and the polygon counts and stuff, so fair enough. But look, a level like Clanker's Cavern where it's just like grey walls and it's like...
very dingy.
I can see what they're going for, but I just don't think the N64's got the power to really pull it off. But a lot of the early 3D games had the same problem though with washed out looking graphics. They just didn't know how to kind of harness it properly. Even the PS1 had problems with that as well,
I think
to be honest.
they knew what to do, they just didn't have the resources to do it. They had to use various tricks to even make it possible.
Yeah, because...
Yeah, I mean...
Not an issue we run into these days.
The cartridges didn't really have enough space to add texture and such, so they had to be very basic textures for the most part.
I would say I think Mario 64 looks better from a graphical point of view because it's got less stuff going on. It's got the textures are less busy, so everything kind of stands out more. I think they tried to make it more detailed, and I think it's a little bit to its detriment, personally.
I do like the animation stuff.
Oh yeah, they're great. They're great.
The intro movie is very fun. Very.
Yeah, it's got character. It's got more character than Mario 64's got. That felt very much like a generic kind of like templated thing, whereas you can tell a lot of love and care went into actually giving Banjo and Kazooie a little bit of personality that goes beyond the usual kind of 3D platformer affair. But it's not like bad. It's not like Bubsy obnoxious levels of like character.
Wacker,
I'm wacky.
It's possible to have too much character, yes.
That Bubs is the permanent yardstick for crap.
Bad mascots.
Fair enough.
No, definitely. If that's the low point, then I think that Banjo's definitely on the upper echelons of not being Bubsy. On the not Bubsy scale, it's definitely in the top percentile.
On the scale here, which...
Is that how you rate games from now?
It's my Bubsy Venn diagram. It's not inside the Venn diagram, so it's fine.
It's touching a little bit here, but it's not enough to make a difference.
There's like animal characters, it's touching there, but platforming is...
They both have fall damage.
So to
3D platformers with fall damage. I guess have a rant for a second. No 3D platformers should have fall damage. It should be abolished. I know it's a Mario as well, and it's equally as bad there. But
I've got an answer for you. Get good.
I knew you were going to say that.
But I know, but any game where you've got to do precision platforming with controls that they know aren't really that great, with a camera that's notoriously wonky, don't punish me for falling down like a pit, because you've made me do that.
And that is why you fail.
I know, I don't like it, and I'm glad that most modern ones don't seem to do that anymore. I don't think, from what I can remember. So yeah, don't do it. Yeah. Just, if you're making a 3D platformer, if you put in fall damage, I will find out where you live.
Shall we try to wrap this up into some kind of a meaningful...
I will find out where you live.
A meaningful conclusion.
Yes.
In conclusion, I will find out where you live.
Good game. Yes. Shitty controls. Main camera.
It's a game that I think they did all they could do with what they had at their disposal when the game came out. It's still very, very early in the 3D platformer history. 1998. I mean, good lord, I was 8 at the time. Jesus. And it's some. I don't think they could have done any more with what they had. So as much as I've got gripes about it from a modern perspective, that's not really fair to hold it on the game that did what it could at the time. So would I recommend it now? I don't know. You need to know what you're getting into first. I think if you're going to it accepting that the game will have flaws and it will frustrate you sometimes, but if you can see past that, then yeah, I would recommend it.
Right then.
I'm going to echo a lot of the same things. It's certainly a game of its time. It's a game that, in the wake of Super Mario 64, tried to work off that concept, maybe try to improve some things. Some places it succeeded, some places it didn't. But it's certainly it's a good game. But you have to come in with the mindset of this is a 1998 3D platformer. You can't expect the same level of game that you get these days.
Yeah, that's only fair. I think are there any modern 3D platformers to really compare it to? Really, are there? I mean, it's not really a thriving series anymore. The 3D collectathon platformer. Apart from the Hat in Time that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Hat in Time, guess.
And you got the Spyro re-release, the Ignited trilogy, which kind of counts, but then you couldn't really play something like that and then expect a similar level of quality from something like this because it's not on the same stratosphere.
3D platformers, they're dinosaurs. They used to rule the world and now they're gone.
That actually worked out right.
Like Croc.
That's Croc.
So, shall we give a little teaser to our next episode we're going to do? Does anyone want
There should be less pain involved this time. Minimal pain.
To the max!
Yeah.
Just should say what it is. We've pretty much just said what it is already, haven't we? It's Max Payne.
Max Payne.
Well, that's what I was asking you to say, and then you wanted to be honest.
Yeah, it's Max Payne 1 and 2. Given that they're re-releasing the first Max Payne.
We're doing 2 as
well.
It
would be a good idea to go. Yeah.
If you got time.
It's a double bill. Ooh.
They're linear shooters. They're not going to be like heavy duty things. There should be less time to do two of those than would to take one Banjo-Kazooie, for example.
No. Yeah.
Given that they're re-releasing the first Max Payne at some point down the line, we felt it'd be a good idea to go back and play the old Max Payne games, well, the first 2 at least, and just see how it sort of holds up. So, looking forward to that one at some point in the not too distant future.
Going to be talking a bunch of shooty bang bang.
Wince-faced, slow-mo bullet time. I can't wait.
So, Pain, the metaphors in the monologues. It's going to be great. English people being New Yorkers.
No 3D platforming. Oh, I know, there is 3D.
You ain't escaping yet.
It's in 3 dimensions.
We will discuss that later.
Alright.
Does everyone want to sign off?
Bye-bye.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, do all that stuff. Bye.
Yeah, hit the like button. Follow us all on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. And yeah, peace.
It's pain!
Oh, it sure is. It sure is.